Farm deluge starts to seep into America's fragile rural economy. Instead of the stretching green stalks he normally sees at this time of year, there's water. The wettest year but they're not alone. The communities if we experienced a year like this, I don't remember it, said Todd Burris, whose family has run the company since 1935. When the farm economy, another Illinois seed business owner, Kurt Barman, says he's trying not to curtail employee hours even as customers are returning product because they aren't able to plant. All of the seeds are. Read more. Unending rain is sparking unusual changes in U.S. crop estimates. The wet weather is presenting farmers with other purchasing dilemmas. Growers are weighing, couple that with less acres, you've got a very acute pressure going on at the moment, Patrick said in an interview with Bloomberg Television. The fertilizer business is already feeling the effects. Midwest urea. With the Mississippi River closed for much of the past month, the regular flow of crop nutrient shipments has been disrupted with barges stacked up waiting to move, according to Alexis Maxwell, research director for Bloomberg Green Markets. Deerfield, Illinois-based CF Industries Holdings Incorporated produces urea locally, while Nutrien Limited has urea it can bring in from the Canadian prairies. Overseas provide. The deluge is just the latest blow to the farm economy. Even the $20. There's been a steady deterioration in agricultural credit conditions, the Kansas City Federal Reserve said in its May report. Farmer sentiment. The stalled planting this year only works to exacerbate fragility in rural areas, Kurt Hudnut, head of North American Rural Banking for Rabobank. If you want to like it, Sean Kelly, mayor of Missouri Valley, Iowa, says the weather is casting a shadow over the corn-driven local economy, where average incomes are already well below the national average. Anytime you have a big economic impact from agriculture like that where people can't get their crops in, there's going to be less money for people to spend, Mayor Kelly said. The deluge has had a far more direct impact on Hamburg. The Southwest we used to have a really healthy bottom line, Mayor Kathy Crane said in an interview. As of 2 months ago, there are some bright spots. Chicago corn. Worries of a smaller corn harvest have prompted ethanol plants and animal feeders to bid more aggressively for supplies left over from last year. In parts of India, that means elevators that still have corn can sell at higher prices. In terms of the effect on the old crop, both price and basis, it's been a godsend, Philip Luce, a grain merchandising specialist at advisory service White Commercial Corp. in Stuart, Florida, said by telephone. Unfortunately, the reason for this year's production problem is all too apparent for Sneb Urger, whose company Aerial Farmer sprays fertilizers and pesticides. I was just flying over the fields yesterday and I was completely depressed. Craig Woodley, a pilot who owns Woodley Aerial Spray in Walnut, Illinois, said he's trying to figure out how to save money, since he's still not sure how busy he'll be this summer. It's a scary picture, Woodley said. There's definitely with assistance from Ashley Robinson, Megan Durison, Ayan Ashra, Alex Tansey, Greg Gale, and Kevin Barley.
Raindrop, drop top, smoking, no cooking the hot. Fucking on your bitch, yeah, that. Looking up, open the park.